Good morning and welcome to the Science Magazine program.
Namaskar, good morning and welcome to this edition of Science Magazine. And today, this morning, we have with us Dr. Simon Thomas, MBBS DNB Orthopedics and FJR Germany, Senior Director and Head of Robotics and Joint Replacement and Reconstruction Unit, Orthopedics at a super specialty hospital at New Delhi. Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for joining us. And today, we are going to talk about the future of orthopedics, bone biology and emerging frontiers. So, for a layman, Dr. Thomas, who needs a joint replacement?
First of all, a big thank you for having me here. And it's a very pertinent and relevant question that you asked. A lot of people think that when they have a knee issue and they get an X-ray, they're going to undergo surgery. I've said this on many fronts that out of 100 people who have a knee issue, only 3 to 4 people undergo any kind of surgery. Majority of them can actually evaluate themselves or get themselves evaluated, do some exercises, gentle physiotherapy, lifestyle modification, some bone supplements and some joint supplements, and they can do very well in life without any sort of surgical help. But there are certain people who are unfortunate enough that in spite of taking care of nicely about them, their bodies, they have pains which are debilitating them. So the activity level which they are able to do with their bodies, they're not able to do because of pain. They have to take frequent pain medicines because they're unable to carry on their activities. Their knees get locked or joints get locked. That means whenever they walk, there's a pop sound and they had to sit or they had to take a rest. So people who have got pathological fractures because of this, they are the people who undergo surgeries of any kind. And as I told you, these patients are a minority. If you start treating yourself or, be aware that this kind of problem is there and you take good care of yourself, surgeries can be avoided to a lot of extent.
This brings me to another question that as someone who is working in this field for a vast number of years now, do you think that Indians especially, our body type, and we are a nation which has rising problem of obesity, are we especially vulnerable to these kind of knee problems or joint problems?
If I see the number of patients who undergo knee replacement, I realize that majority are not very high BMI patients or they are not very heavyweight patients usually. So over a period of time, weight increases and our body metabolism actually goes down. But joint arthritis is not directly related to weight issues as such. Indian population has got a problem because we want to sit down, we want to squat, we want to sit cross-legged. Our lifestyle is such that. But when a knee arthritis comes or pain in the knee joints, the first thing that is affected is the ability to sit down on the ground, sit on a couch or a sofa with the legs folded deep. And so Indians start missing these activities. So that is a trouble. But our increasing weight is not the number one risk factor for developing a knee arthritis.
We also are seeing that robotics, AI, they are making huge waves even in so far as medical studies and medical care is concerned. So doctor, how much have robotics made a change in surgery?
First of all, surgeries were being done by different surgeons in different parts of the world and the country. So we realized that some surgeons are able to do a better job and certain surgeons are not able to replicate that kind of, results in their hands. So there was some amount of patients who were still unhappy after some of nicely done surgery. So that is mainly because the surgery is done nicely, but there are certain nuances like the soft tissue balance, the subtle angles of 1 or 2 degree change, which the human eye cannot make out. So with the advent of robotics and AI, what happens is that by getting a patient who's undergoing a surgery, say tomorrow, when we have CT scan done tonight, we actually can gauge what the knee will look like after the surgery, even without doing the surgery, by doing a simple CT scan and a program on the robo. So what the robo has done is that it has made the surgery more objective. Now it is not subjective according to different surgeons. So different surgeons may have different views, but the robo will give an extrapolation of what is going to happen after the surgery to a very high, degree. And that makes a surgery very, very objective. Secondly, when we are making certain indentations in the bone or certain space in the bone so that the implants can sit, the robotic arm is actually unwavering. It does not quiver, it does not falter, and it will actually make a perfect edge onto which the implant can be fixed. So the accuracy also has improved. This accuracy leads to the early improvement, recovery is much better. So we see patients who undergo robotic, the 3 month, the 6 months and the 1 year recovery is much better than the other contemporaries that who are undergoing non-robotic. But I would like to very categorically make a point that people who are undergoing a non-robotic surgery, they are not choosing an inferior technology. The non-robotic surgeries are extremely accurate, but the robot has taken the accuracy level to really high levels. So robot has made it more objective, it has made it more precise, and because of this the implants are expected to last longer. But the robots have been here only for 5 years, so we cannot still scientifically say that these implants will last longer, although we think that they will last longer.
How much are implants lasting these days?
So younger and younger patients now undergo surgery, and if the patient is doing well, so I always say any implant surgery is like actually starting a small garden of your own. When you put the seed in the earth, what kind of plant and flower will come out of it depends on 3 aspects. First of all is the gardener. The gardener is the surgeon. He should do a good job. The second thing is the seed itself, that is the implant and the technology with which it goes in. So that should be great. Third thing is Mother Nature or the earth itself. So the patient's body should receive it well. If these 3 things work well, these implants are now expected to last 20, 25, maybe 30 years also. But when a patient asks me this question, I can very safely say, sir or ma'am, your knee implant that we implant now, if everything goes well, should last 15 to 20 years at least, maybe more.
And that was really well put. So, doctor, what are the expectations after a joint replacement surgery? It could be a hip, it could be the knee.
First expectation that every patient has and even the doctor has is that the pain should vanish. Usually patients have complete relief in pain. Some people have remnants of pain here and there. That's mainly because of poor bone quality or muscle stretching, or sometimes there are adventitious, causes of pain like pain coming from nerves and spine and other joints. So if we leave that around, we expect complete abolition of pain, complete pain-free life, a life which is as unrestricted as your body wants to be. We don't want patients to restrict themselves or to avoid doing activities which they want to do if the body is allowing them.
Doctor, another important aspect is what happens, as you mentioned that now you generally tell your patients that replaced implant would last about 15 to 20 years, maybe more. Now, what happens after a replaced joint is at the end of its tenure? Does the patient have to go in for a surgery once again?
First of all, we need to really understand, this is a great question, that what happens when 15 to 20 years is over. The implant does not wear down. The implant does not wear down at all. These implants, the technology, the tribology and the metallurgy is at such a great level that we don't see now implants wearing down at 15 to 20 years. So that's the greatness of technology. What happens usually at the end of 15, 20 or maybe 25 years is that the bond between the implant and the bone, that starts to become loose. Because the bones also become loose. The cement interface that is there, that actually starts to loosen out. So implant starts to become loosen out. So unlike what was happening 10, 15 years back when the implants actually wore out, see, like sole of your shoe, which actually becoming thinner and thinner, these implants don't become thinner and thinner. It's actually they become loose from the bone. And see, somebody who undergoes a surgery at 60, when he or she reaches 85, the demand on the knee is also less. The number of cycles that they're using is less. So majority of the time what happens is that these patients have some aches and pains, but they don't come for a surgery because they feel, we don't need the surgery. There is some pain, but we are managing quite well. We are not as debilitated as we were earlier. But some patients who actually have a loosening that results in too much of pain, they undergo something called a revision surgery, in which we will take out this implant, take out the old cement mantle, put a new specialized kind of implant, and these patients start to walk the next day as they walked 20, 25 years back after the first surgery. In fact, the technology is so nice now that the pain is much better controlled and patients are able to walk out of the hospital on their own legs. Their result is wonderful. So now I see people in 80s, late 70s undergoing revision without thinking. They know that the trust on technology is so much that they will be able to do as much activities as their bodies are allowing as they have been doing so far.
Now, Doctor, many people ask this question that after they have joint replacement surgery, whether it is a hip or especially the knee, which occupies the maximum number of, in terms of numbers, how soon does a patient start walking?
Patients start to walk next day after majority of orthopedic surgeries. I'm very categorical. My colleagues who do spine, pediatric work, joint replacements, arthroscopies, laser surgeries, every patient, the motto is mobility is life. So whatever surgery we do, we have to make them mobilize on the next day. So within 24 hours, majority of patients will start to walk. They will be independent enough to take a turn in bed, sit on their own, have their food, groom themselves, go to the washroom, use the restroom by themselves or by minimum help, and have a bath by themselves, so that the dignity in life is maintained, their morale is high, and people feel really great that we have undergone a surgery which is not debilitating to us in any way.
And how much is the hospital stay in total for a person going in for a joint replacement surgery these days?
In India, we are now discharging patients in 2 days, that is 48 hours after a joint replacement, and by this time they will actually be able to do majority of their activities. It requires some motivation counseling beforehand so that we have realistic goals from the surgeon as well as doctor. In the West, they are now doing daycare surgeries. That means patients undergo surgery in the morning and they go back home in the evening. But then they have some different setups also according to which they follow. I think a detailed discussion on this forum may not be possible, but the future of joint replacement is daycare, when we actually operate somebody in the morning and they go back in the evening.
That's wonderful. And as we began our conversation, we spoke of robotics, and now that brings us to AI, which is the happening thing now. So, doctor, how does AI help in replacement surgeries?
A doctor is basically a person who identifies a pattern. Among a jumble of symptoms that a patient tells, a doctor is able to identify a pattern based on what he has read, what he has seen, and what his colleagues' experience have been. So when you talk to me that you are having this symptom and this is what you want, so I identify a pattern in that. But my brain can actually, correlate only certain things. So what AI does is that it has got the ability to, make a correlation, and the ability to find a pattern is 1,000, maybe 1,000,000 times more than that of a human brain. So what AI is now helping us is firstly in diagnostics. It is actually helping us in seeing a pattern in the CT scans, the MRIs, and helps in, diagnostic work first. After that, what it helps is that it helps to extrapolate, like the robotics. What a robot does is that even without doing a surgery, I can superimpose the implant on that bone of the patient whose virtual model I have made on the computer by a CT scan. I can actually play with the implant. I can see in which position actually the implant is kept, in which the patient will have a maximum benefit. This is what we call a personalized fit or a personalized feel to the implant. So the implant is same, but a 2-degree tweak here, 2-degree tweak here, 3-degree here and there. What the patient will feel, how patient will feel better, we can find out without doing the surgery. This was never available to us 10 years back.
Wow, wonderful. And lastly, doctor, we hear so much about regenerative medicine these days. So what's your take on that?
I think in the last 50 years, doctors and scientists have changed everything. Transplanted liver, kidney. They have replaced the knee. They have done lot of replacements and here and there thing. But the next 50 years is going to be regenerative. So we have the technology where we can harvest the stem cells as of now. We know how to harvest stem cells. What we don't know is how to put into the recipient area and make it grow into what we want. The day we will have a technology in which, and it is not very far, that people will be able to actually put a stem cell into the knee and will actually convert itself into the cartilage, thereby regenerating the knee cartilage and rejuvenating the patient. And that's where the future of orthopedics and regenerative medicine lies.
That's wonderful. Dr. Simon Thomas, thank you so much for joining us in the studios today and sharing so much about future of orthopedics, bone biology and emerging frontiers. We were talking to Dr. Simon Thomas, MBBS DNB Orthopedics, FGR Germany, Senior Director and Head of Robotics, Joint Replacement and Reconstruction Unit at the Max Super Speciality Hospital, Shalimar Bagh in New Delhi. And this interview came to you in our Science Magazine program broadcast from Akashvani, Delhi. Thank you, Dr. Simon Thomas. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, this episode of Science Magazine ends, reminding you science has no borders, only possibilities. Stay tuned, stay curious, and stay inspired. This broadcast came to you from Indraprastha channel of Akashvani, Delhi.